So this lecture is just a basic one covering fundamentals and misconceptions that often occur about primates. I've been in the zoo several times and heard several strange comments about primates when I've been stood there watching them. So we're going to go over some of these. First one I'm going to talk about is when I was sat watching some chimpanzees in an enclosure one time. Next was this boy and his mum came up, and the boy said to his mum, "Mum, what are these?" And the mum said,
"These, son, they're gorillas."
So first of all I'm going to tell you about the difference between gorillas and chimpanzees. First of all, the gorilla has a pointy head. This is in the males only though. And this is called a sagittal crest. It starts from the top of the head and goes down to the back, and it gives the male gorilla characteristic pointy head. And this is for muscle attachments. The jaw muscles are so huge they need something extra to attach to, and this is what the sagittal crest is for. Secondly, gorillas are larger than chimpanzees. Gorillas are 5'9" tall, whereas chimps are only 5'5" tall. Gorillas also weigh more than chimpanzees. Gorillas weigh 450 pounds, whereas a chimpanzee only weighs 154 pounds. Another difference between gorillas and chimpanzees is that the male gorilla has a silver or grey back. I was once watching a film. A man came running onto the screen and he was yelling, "I found a female silverback! I found a female silverback!" He didn't, because female silverbacks don't exist. Only the males are silverback, and they are a sign of dominance. And the last feature to talk about is that chimps climb more than gorillas. Gorillas tend to stay on the ground, apart from the very young ones, because they're a terrestrial species, whereas chimpanzees will be climbing both in the trees and spend time on the ground, so they're semi-terrestrial. One thing the chimp and the gorilla does have in common though is the fact that they're both apes, which means they don't have a tail. But let me show you something funny. This is Buckley. He's a toy gorilla, which means he's an ape and therefore he doesn't have a tail. Yet, I don't know if you can quite see that, someone made him with a tail. Another common misconception about gorillas is that they're ferocious animals. In fact, quite the opposite is true. They're vegetarian, so they're not going to try and eat you. They're only going to attack you if they think you're a danger to themselves or their family. Another thing that happened in a zoo once. We were watching chimpanzees again, and there was a female with a big bottom, and there was a boyfriend and a girlfriend there watching. The boyfriend turned to the girlfriend and said, "What's that big thing on her bottom?" And the girlfriend said, "I don't know, she must have been bitten by one of the others and it's swollen up." That's not right. What it was is the female sexual swelling. Certain species, not all of them, and in some it's more prominent than in others, but at the time of estrus, the female develops this pink, fluffy, swollen bottom. And this is just to signal to the males in the group that it's the time of her estrus, a good time for her to get pregnant. And the males find this very sexy. They see this female with this big ugly bottom and they think, that's nice, I'd have a bit of that. So because it's at the estrus that this big bottom is developed by the female, it's not always like that. It fluctuates from not being there to being very big. So sometimes you'll see chimpanzees with it and sometimes you won't. common misconception is that we evolved from monkeys or apes. But this isn't accurate. What did happen is we evolved from a common ancestor that we share with monkeys and apes. This common ancestor would have had several offspring. One of these branches of offspring would have led to the orangutan, another to humans, another to chimps, and another to gorillas, and so on. Let me show you this better in a different diagram. So, here's common ancestor from which branched orangutans. And that was 16 million years ago. Also from this line branched off gorillas. And that was 8 million years ago. Also branching off from this line was chimps and humans. And this was 6 million years ago. So you can see that we have all evolved from this one common ancestor, but some of us branched off from this ancestor earlier than others. So the orangutan was 16 million years ago, which means we're less related to them than we are, say, chimps, which branched off at around the same time. It can also be seen that chimps are more closely related to humans than they are to orangutans. So humans and chimps are more closely related to each other than they are to the others. In fact, they share 97.5% of the same DNA. Don't read too much into this because we also share 50% of the DNA of a banana. Another regular issue with primates is that people have difficulty distinguishing between monkeys and apes. So I'll clear that up now. Apes do not have tails. Monkeys do. But there are some monkeys that also don't have tails. Another common misconception is that baboons are a type of ape. They're not, they're a monkey. And you can tell this because they have a tail. So if anything has a tail, it is definitely a monkey. But it doesn't necessarily mean they're an ape if they haven't got one. Monkeys are also generally smaller than apes. Apes are more intelligent than monkeys as well. It's been shown that they have theory of mind, and this means that they're able to tell what the individual next to them, the other ape, is thinking or feeling. So if they've seen a banana and they know that that other person hasn't seen the banana, then they can wait until they have their back turned, and then they can take that banana and the other person will never know about it. They also have self-recognition, which means they can recognise themselves in the mirror. This is something monkeys aren't able to do. And lastly, of course, human is a type of ape. Lastly, I want to look at prosimians. These are the third type of primates. So you have apes, monkeys, prosimians. Prosimians are smaller than all other primates, and they're very often nocturnal, meaning they only sleep during the day and come out at night and forage and do whatever during the night time. Prosimians include lemurs and lorises, so probably the most well-known prosimian is the ring-tailed lemur. I'm sure you've all seen one of them. Another misconception is to think of the prosimian as primitive. And this is often done because they have features which are similar to that which our common ancestor would have done. So the chain of thought is because they haven't evolved as much, they haven't changed as much, they're quite primitive. That's not necessarily the case. Their features are primitive in the sense that they're the same, but this doesn't mean that they're less well adapted to their environment. So probably a better term for this primitiveness is ancestral or general. So just one last thing I want to go over now, and that's bananas. Monkeys and chimps and primates, they're all seen as being lovers of bananas. But if you think about it, the banana is native to Southeast Asia. Well, that concludes this lecture. It was just a short, basic one to get everyone up to the same level of understanding and get rid of those common misconceptions.